I want to give you a little recap of my therapy session that I just had because I feel rejuvenated. It's kind of like a runner's high, or that high you feel after you work out. It's a mental version of that where I just really feel refreshing and clean again. And I wanted to share what I talked to my therapist about, what I learned, how I end up at the end of it. And for me, therapy isn't even really something that I need to go to like I used to. For the most part, my therapist, Tomisha, who I interviewed, she's pretty much fixed those issues. So now I find myself struggling to find out like what to talk to her about. On Sunday night before the session, I usually try to organize my thoughts and my feelings and think about what I'm gonna talk to her about, what's been bothering me. You don't really need to have specific problems for therapy to make you feel good. But this week was a little different with the Charlie Kirk shooting. I went through a lot emotionally, as everybody else did. And I had a lot to talk about. I had a lot of questions. I think the first thing that affected me was seeing the actual video. The violence, you're viscerally affected by seeing something like that. That was the first stage of like, oh my God. Then after that comes the opinions and the fighting, the left versus the right, people being happy about it, people saying he was a hero. It's kind of like just watching this big, huge fight. That's the second part. Third part is just the misinformation, being able to see what people's motives actually are and how they hope it's somebody from the left that did it. They hope that it's somebody from the right that did it. Everybody's on a team and they want their team to be right. And so you're watching these people fight for their team and kind of just forgetting all the aspects of just being a human and actually looking at what is making us different. We should see each other as in this together. So that's the third part of it, I would say. And then a fourth part is actually finding out how many of my friends liked Charlie Kirk before this happened. I'm not going to talk bad about him, but I personally didn't like him. And so to find out some friends, people I went to high school with, liked him, that affected me too. Like, oh man, that sucks, you know? So there's all these layers of what you go through, what I went through after seeing that. And so all these things are kind of like, oh, I'm going to save that for when I talk to Tomisha. The stuff that kind of rose to the top, above it all, the things I really needed to deal with were, number one, is it okay for me to think that us as a society, as a population in America, have we become collectively more stupid? Whether it's true or not, is it okay to even feel that way? Because that to me feels like a very negative thing to focus on, where I could instead focus on there's still smart people, you know? I ask myself even if it was true, is it okay for me to focus on that or feel that? Because one thing I learned from Tomisha is the thing that stuck out with me the most is I try to do everything from a clean heart. It's an easy question I ask myself whenever I'm going through something like, oh, I feel that way. Is that coming from a clean heart or from a dirty heart? Whenever the answer is that it's coming from a dirty heart, that's when I realize I need to work on that. Thinking that the population is becoming more stupid as we get older and go through life, even if it's true, is that coming from a clean heart? Because I can only control my reaction to that. I can't control the population. So I want to take control of my reaction. And I want the outcome to be a happy me. And so I talked to her about that. That was number one. The number two thing was this question of empathy, because Charlie Kirk explicitly stated that it's a new age term that does more harm for our society than good. For me, as a person who strongly believes in empathy and was raised Christian, even though I'm not Christian now, but I felt like that's what Jesus was about, was empathy. I can't quote scripture, but that was a shocking thing for me to hear him say because I thought he was Christian. But anyway, empathy has changed my life only for the better. And I'm a strong believer in empathy and stepping outside of my perspective to understand other people's perspective. So that was the number two thing that I wanted to talk to her about is, do you feel empathy for Charlie and his family, even though that's not something he believed in? I basically came to the point where I was telling her, I've never seen bad results from empathy, both for the person that feels empathy and for the person they're feeling empathetic for. There was something that happened to me yesterday with my daughter. We went to a function where they had a big like bouncy house type thing, but instead of made for bouncing, it was like dodgeball. There's a little wall in the middle. And this little boy was so angry. He was throwing the ball so hard, trying to hit my daughter. It hit her in the face really hard. And I'm the kind of dad that steps back. I don't intervene. I want my daughter to learn from what's out there in the world. And so what she did, I watched her go over to his side and start picking up balls and handing him balls. And the kid changed from this angry kid trying to destroy other kids to loving her so much. and he followed us around for the rest of the party, wanting to be her friend, and he was calling her a friend, and it was just so cute. And it affected me to see my 5-year-old daughter unknowingly do this great gesture of empathy and the results that came from it. And so the question of, do we feel empathy for somebody who doesn't, let's say you believe they don't deserve it. Who does the empathy serve? It's serving your own heart, your own clean heart. That led us down to like, I don't want to ever feel angry. I don't want to carry that burden. And I'm sure in history, there's been things motivated by anger that had good results. But those people who had that anger had to live the rest of their life with that burden of anger. And I come back to the clean heart every time. I want a clean heart. And so, yeah, maybe I can be motivated to do something, but I don't think it has to come from anger. And she brought up, let's take this a step further. What if your daughter was SA'd by an adult? What would your response be? And as angry as I would be, I still would try, I would try to find forgiveness in my heart. I think empathy has a lot to do with forgiveness. Forgiveness is usually for yourself. It's not for the other person, just like what I feel like empathy is. And at the end of the day, I feel like if we all tried to just have clean hearts without anger, without resentment, without judgment, I don't see how it would have bad results. And so that was kind of like the conclusion we came to in terms of whether or not to feel empathy. I was feeling empathy anyways, but it's just nice to reaffirm all these things. And another thing that she and I both had to do is we both had to get off TikTok because it's just not healthy. And I'm on day 2 right now, and it's been so hard to not open up TikTok and scroll and see all the news about what the shooter is. But regardless, I'm not on a team. I'm not choosing a team. If this roommate being transgender is true, then so be it. I don't feel like my left team lost a point. And if he's raised by MAGA conservative parents with a Mormon upbringing, so be it. I don't think the left scored a point because his parents are MAGA. I don't understand why we're looking at it in terms of teams and points. Like, we're all in this together. We have this issue of violence, and I don't think anything is gonna change when we choose teams, when we try to point out how the other side is wrong, what they did wrong. I think the only answer is just more empathy. That's pretty much what we talked about today. You don't have to choose empathy, but that's the way I'm going because I feel clean in my heart afterwards. The other thing that I learned from Tamisha too that I always think about is to what end? And I live my life by that. Before I do this action, to what end? What are the results I'm looking for? What is gonna happen? And is that what I want? And so I'm gonna continue living this week with those lessons in my heart, in my mind. And I hope this video can help you find a little bit of peace and solace to get you through the week. Another thing we talked about on a side note is how I grew up hating rich people and my journey to finding a clean heart for people like that. But not only that, just in general, I have a problem with white people like myself who have the inability to step outside of their whiteness and see things from a different perspective. And this changes the way that the decisions that they make with their life, the way they live, and how to deal with that. Tomisha really had a good conversation with me about how you find empathy for that. So if that's something that interests you and you want to hear that conversation as well, let me know, and maybe I'll make another video.